In today's program, the story of how smart card technology first appeared on the market, balancing business and government interests, revival of Almaty's status as the city of apples, and many other stories. Yerlan Stambekov, an entrepreneur, creator of the first payment card system in Kazakhstan, director of the Chamber of Entrepreneurs of the city of Almaty, president of Charity Foundation, initiator of numerous social projects. Plastic cards are a part of everyday life. There is hardly a person who doesn't use them to pay for products and services. They have become everyone's indispensable companions. But there was a time when payment cards were a rarity. There was no infrastructure, no payment terminals anywhere in the city, and no notion of what card payment was in people's minds. Very few knew how cards were to be used, or how convenient this payment practice would soon become. It was not an easy feat to become a pioneer and conquer a business field. Yerlan Stambekov was among the few who decided to implement the technology in Kazakhstan's market at a time when the market itself was only getting back on its feet.
Общая ситуация в стране была такой, что все только и занимались тем, что что-то покупали и затем что-то продавали.
The situation in our country was such that the only kind of business people seemed to be interested in was buying and selling goods. Production was virtually non-existent. The existing production companies were being slowly crushed by the devastating financial crisis, which ravaged the economy. We had thoughts like, are we really going to remain small-scale sellers forever? Is it possible for us to become something more? Can we create something innovative and interesting? And that's when complete absence of payment cards in our country attracted my attention. And we started working in this direction, exploring the field, so to speak. We found the required technology while visiting various expos all around the world. We saw what the business had to offer. That's how it all started.
И увидели несколько интересных предложений по организации именно этого бизнеса, как бизнеса. Собственно, с этого все и началось.
Yerlan's initial idea was to create a unified processing center for all the banks in the country. It was going to service all clients of all banks using a single payment card system, which would allow the banks to decrease the costs and provide the card users with a number of advantages. But the project coincided with a serious upheaval in the country's economy, and the young entrepreneur was forced to consider a different business strategy.
Грянула девальвация очередная тогда. The
devaluation that occurred next ended up crushing many businesses. Many banks were forced to close down, and our technology became unusable. Who knows what it would have come to if I hadn't set the idea to reanimate this project by implementing it into the automobile fuel market. The project was a success. Fuel cards are still in use today. We organized our project in such a way as to include different fueling networks. You are aware, of course, that when you are only using one network, you are given coupons to buy gas only from this particular chain. We provided a more versatile alternative. Our card enabled people to buy fuel at different gas stations, and it didn't matter which company owned the brand.
Вы с помощью одной карточки можете заправляться на различных заправочных станциях, независимо от их, кому принадлежит этот бренд.
Yerlan Stambekov is also involved in the Chamber of Entrepreneurs of Almaty. When offered this difficult job, the businessman accepted immediately. Balancing government interests with business development had always appealed to our hero. Incidentally, at some point in the past, he had already faced the necessity to choose between going into public service and becoming a businessman.
Тогда состоялась наша встреча как депутатов.
We had a meeting with Nursultan Abishevich Nazarbayev, the meeting of the Chamber's deputies with the president of our country. He looked at us, young deputies, and said, "You are the future of our country. The work that you do, the way you develop business, will impact our country's future. It is the task of our society to create middle class and ensure a happy future for our people." I was so impressed with his speech. It was really memorable. I remember walking out of there and thinking about the next 20 years of my life. I knew then and there that I wanted to dedicate my life's work to business.
Вот эти 20 там с небольшим лет, которые прошли с той встречи, памятные для меня до сих пор, и я начал заниматься бизнесом.
Today, Yerlan Stambekov is the director of the Chamber of Entrepreneurs. Every day he makes decisions regarding business and the state service issues.
Палата предпринимателей прежде всего занимается консолидацией предпринимательства. Вот в частности в Алмате мы, конечно же, занимаемся тем, чтобы наладить обратную связь.
The main goal of the Chamber of Entrepreneurs is to unite all entrepreneurs operating in Almaty. Of course, we also work on encouraging feedback from the entrepreneurs in order to be able to defend their interests more effectively. At the same time, we are the agency that implements state policy in the business sphere. We subsidize various business projects and support our entrepreneurs. Our professional responsibilities also include providing professional education opportunities and establishing social partnerships. We help to build social partnerships between employers and employees. We conducted a number of meetings recently aimed at helping people with disabilities to get involved in the workforce in the business sphere. It is one of the many faces of the work we do here.
Мы проводили несколько уже круглых столов с тем, чтобы вот как-то сподвигнуть процесс к тому, чтобы люди с ограниченной возможностью как можно больше вовлекались и привлекались бизнесом для работы. Это вот тоже одно из направлений нашей деятельности.
Reviving Almaty's status as the city of apples is another important project for Yerlan Stambekov. Being a patriot of one of Kazakhstan's largest cities, he was inspired by a French documentary film on the maieless Sieversea, apples growing in Jetissu. These apples are the sole ancestor of most cultivar of the domesticated apple in the world.
Конечно, я был очень взволнован после просмотра этого фильма.
Of course, I was really fascinated to learn all this. Then I remembered my childhood. I grew up in Almaty, and we had apple trees growing in our yard, right in the middle of the city, among city traffic, which was not as intense as it is today. But still, it was there, and the apple trees seemed to thrive nonetheless, because we had all those apples all the time. Unfortunately, there are no apple orchards left in our city today. Gradually, they were cut down and new houses were built in their place. So there are virtually no apple trees left in the city yards. All that remains is the trees growing alongside city roads. I thought we could reverse the trend. If every Almaty resident planted just one tree, our city would soon be filled with orchards once again. Almaty would reclaim its glory as the city of apples. After all, the word Almaty translates as apple. Alas, the apple name is all that we have today. Before launching the project, Yerlan consulted with scientists, students of Professor Jangaliev, who had once proven that the apple orchards of Jetissu were, in fact, ancient. The scientists noticed another unique quality of the city apple trees. Their fruits are resistant to negative influence of urban environment. They do not absorb harmful substances permeating the air. It turns out city apples are edible.
Я решил написать об этом в Фейсбуке. Я до этого узнал о том, где продаются яблони, они растут у нас в питомниках.
I decided to write it on Facebook. I learned where you could buy the seedlings. I arranged to buy some. I offered my friends to plant them and was overwhelmed with the response. There was a lot of people who wanted to participate. They were offering to buy more seedlings themselves. Everyone seemed eager to help out and expand the project. They wanted to start planting trees in the city and so on. The idea started to develop. People suggested we started planting other trees as well, like lilac, for instance. Lilac grows quite well in Almaty. People wanted to start planting oak trees and other plants. It was also a part of our project to instill in children the love of plants. People suggested planting apple trees in the city streets, and I said, all right, but we must organize it wisely and appoint specific people to oversee specific segments of the project, so that everyone knows who is in charge. We didn't want a short-lived mission, with a bunch of people coming in, planting a bunch of trees and then forgetting all about them. Our goal was to have apple trees growing in our city 4 to 5 years later.
А чтобы все-таки через 4-5 лет У нас в городе снова начали расти яблони.
Yerlan Stambekov's other special projects involve charity activity and promotion of Kazakh culture.
Я являюсь президентом благотворительного фонда «Парыз», общественного благотворительного фонда. Мы по этой линии делали очень много различных проектов, и в том числе...
I'm the president of the charity foundation Paris. We are a public charity fund. We have conducted many programs. We helped children suffering from different illnesses and financed many projects. In 2008, we brought musicians to London to record a Kazakh music album at the famous Abbey Road recording studio. The project was called The Magic of Nomads, and it was also done by our charity foundation. It was never our goal to promote ourselves by means of our charity work. People who have achieved a certain level of success in their lives must be aware of social responsibility. We wanted to share the results of our work and our success with others. We wanted to give other people opportunities and inspire them.
Успеха, результата в своей жизни, поделиться этим результатом, успехом.
It is no wonder that Yerlan is such an avid promoter and supporter of Kazakhstani music. He plays musical instruments, sings and writes poetry. He enjoys spending his free time with his family and friends.
У меня 4 детей. Младшему сыну 2,5 года.
I have 4 children. My youngest son is 2.5. My daughters are my eldest children, and my 2 sons are the youngest. My eldest children spend most of their time at the university, but we do try to spend our weekends together as a family. I also enjoy spending time with my friends. We usually write songs and poetry. My friends are very talented. Sometimes we play football.
Тоже обладают такими какими-то талантами. Либо просто играем в футбол, время проводим как-то.
Business world is intolerant to those who stand still. Constant motion, development and growth are required. It is important to monitor the market and optimize your business processes. Today, Yerlan Stambekov is ready to take a new step forward.
Тогда все, что мы привезли, все было иностранным, импортным. Это были терминалы для приема карточек, это были сами пластиковые карточки и программное обеспечение, которое, собственно говоря, является основой.
Back in the day, everything had to be imported from abroad. The terminals, the payment cards, and the software, which is of course the basis of our technology. Not to mention the computers. And nowadays, we are using many domestic products. For instance, we use Kazakhstani software created by our local IT professionals. Of course, we do produce the terminals themselves. Terminals are manufactured all over the world, including China, but we do plan on organizing the production of payment terminals in Kazakhstan. We are currently negotiating with a couple of companies to start producing terminals domestically. It will decrease the prime cost by 20 to 25%. To me, it is a good enough reason to organize domestic production.
Где-то порядка на 20-25%. Я считаю, это уже, в принципе, неплохо. Для того, чтобы организовать производство здесь.
What is the success formula of the first entrepreneur in the field? And what is the basis of his business strategy?
Нужно быть последовательным в том, что ты делаешь. И никогда нельзя разменивать отношения и чувства, даже если конъюнктура сиюминутная там говорит о том, что нужно поступиться какими-то принципами. Важно не поступаться этими принципами.
You have to be consistent in everything you do. It is important to be faithful in your business relationships. It is important to stay true to your principles, even in situations that force you to sacrifice them. You must always keep your word. Even at the risk of losing something, promises must be kept at all costs. This is what makes you a reliable person. This is how you build your reputation in business. When people trust you to be honest and keep your end of the deal, no matter what, that's the most valuable thing. This is, in fact, the formula for success, as I see it.
Это не стоило, вы будете доводить начатое до конца, это, пожалуй, главное. И это, пожалуй, есть формула успеха в моем понимании.